Ferrari, directed by the great Michael Mann, wants to be a captivating drama as well as a thrilling racing movie, but unfortunately, the movie comes up short on both accounts. Sadly, this movie is about as fun to watch as watching your dad play 18 holes of golf. It's painfully boring, and you can't wait to go home. Ferrari stars Adam Driver, Penelope Cruz, and Shailene Woodley. The movie unfolds in 1957 with Enzo Ferrari trying to keep his business afloat. He needs to focus less on sports cars and more on production of his cars that could be sold to keep his business thriving. He instead rolls the dice and putting all of his energy on the Mille Miglia race, a long-distance race involving multiple drivers. If Ferrari can win this race, he can bring popularity to his company and grow as a business. On top of Enzo dealing with his dying company, he's also dealing with his wife and business partner, Laura. Throughout the film, Enzo tries to convince Laura to give him full control of the company, but the relationship gets muddy after Laura discovers that Enzo has been having an affair with a woman named Lena, with whom he has had a child with. Let me begin with the racing aspect of the film, because let's be honest, that's probably why you're interested in this movie. And listen, if you're only interested in the racing aspect of this film, then I'm sad to report that this film comes up short. Luckily, the racing scenes are beautifully shot, and from a cinematography perspective, they are, at times, stunning to watch. However, there's no meat on the bones when it comes to the racing scenes. In the third act, we finally get to the Mille Miglia race, the race that has been talked about for most of the film. But once we get there and the race begins, it doesn't really put you on the edge of your seat. Sure, it's fun to watch, I suppose, but you really don't care about what's happening. The movie is missing some key ingredients that make a third act sporting event enthralling. For instance, there's no villain in the movie. If you're going to have a big race at the end, we need a villain, a rival racer for our hero to drive against. We need to be on the edge of our seat wondering who's going to win, but the film doesn't give us one. Another key element missing is that we don't care about the drivers. In fact, we barely know them. The film tries its best to get you to care about newcomer De Portago, but it's all very surface level stuff. When you have a big racing event that closes your film that doesn't have a driver we care about, nor does it present a true villain for our hero to race against, the race is just kind of blah. It's not exciting. Again, it's cool to look at, but ultimately there's nothing to get emotionally invested in, which in turn makes the whole race pretty meaningless from an entertainment perspective. Now, to be super duper fair, this is a movie about Enzo Ferrari. It is not about racing. So even if the racing didn't resonate with me, at least the drama of the film resonated, right? Actually, not so much. In fact, somewhere around the halfway mark, I thought to myself, man, I wish this was an Italian film directed by an Italian director with an Italian cast. I say that because this movie took the story and kind of just Hollywoodized it. Some of the emotional scenes in this movie come off as the movie trying too hard. There's one argument in particular with Enzo and his wife Laura that felt straight out of a soap opera. I can feel the actors trying too hard, and it all came off as unbelievable. And that's not to say the acting is bad. I actually think Adam Driver is fantastic here, and he basically saves this movie from being a complete waste of time. He's absolutely transformed here. I'm just saying that for me, the drama moments of the film just came off as over the top, and it constantly took me out of the movie. Not to mention that most of the movie's runtime is spent on the love triangle between Enzo, Laura, and Lena. There was nothing really captivating about this conflict. We've seen this all before, and it just came off as bland and uninteresting. I wanted to get caught up in their lives. I wanted to be on the edge of my seat as all the drama started to unfold, but I never really got there. I was more interested in Enzo's and Laura's crumbling marriage than I was with his affair. Enzo and Laura lost a son to muscular dystrophy, and that loss has taken a toll on their marriage. I wish the film focused more on their relationship and explored how losing a child can inflict damage on a relationship. And you know that thing that happens when you watch a good biopic film and when the movie is over, you want to go home and research the real story? I actually didn't feel compelled to do that with this movie. It's as if this movie just kind of washed over me. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a pretty bad sign. Now, I've been shitting on this movie so far, but I actually want to highlight some positives. As I said, I think Adam Driver is doing fantastic work here, but that's really no surprise as he's a pretty good actor. Penelope Cruz is also putting in a wonderful performance with what she's given. And I think for the most part, anytime Driver and Cruz are on screen, they are delightful to watch. It's a blast to watch two talented actors go toe-to-toe, and I think they succeed here. I also love this theme of the film about Enzo's personal life and his work life. They are both complicated and they are both leading up to disaster, and Enzo is trying his best not to crash. It's a pretty interesting parallel. And not to contradict myself from what I said earlier, but I do think the racing scenes are expertly photographed and are a blast to see on the big screen. I just wish there was more emotion behind it all. And listen, folks, if you love cars, if you love Ferrari, if you're interested in Enzo, you actually might enjoy this more than me. I'll admit, I'm not a car guy or that interested in cars. I was hoping for this film to shed some light into the Ferrari brand and get me interested in the subject. But unfortunately, this movie never really excited me or enlightened me, which is a damn dirty shame. In the end, this isn't really a bad movie. It's just a dull, mediocre one. This actually felt like the perfect dad film. I recommend taking your dad to watch this. When was the last time you saw a movie with your dad? Why don't you go take him to see this? He'll probably love it. And that's probably the best thing I can say about Ferrari. For what it's worth, it's a great dad movie. That's it, folks. If you like the sound of my voice, please hit that like button and subscribe. And until the next time, I say cheers.